is high inherent risk rating. Don't worry about my spelling. Is high inherent risk rating. So once you have an high inherent risk rating on the form, we arrive at the inherent risk rating. What you need to do next is, at this point, you reach out to the vendor. So now you are entering the due diligence phase. In the due diligence phase, you set up a meeting. Is either you set up a meeting with the vendor or you send a questionnaire and send an email, putting a note, on the email to the vendor. I've worked in an organization whereby we send out email with a questionnaire. The questionnaire. I'll tell you what the questionnaire look like. Don't worry. We send out the questionnaire to the business, to the vendor contacts. I couldn't find my notebook anymore. Excuse me. Oh my gosh. I couldn't find my notebook. This is so painful. Okay, let me try and do something. Give me a second. Well, I didn't get it back. I was thinking I'm going to recover it back. Okay. Give me a second. I'm trying to see if I could recover the notes we have been using for the past. No, I can't. Anyway, let's move on. So we assume the inherent risk rating is high, right? On the hierarchy, that's the inherent risk questionnaire or the inherent risk form, either way. So in this phase of due diligence, we reach out to the vendor. Who will reach out to the vendor? Who is going to reach out to the vendor? The vendor, the third-party risk assessor, me and you. So Latifa happens to be Latifa, sorry, I don't want to butcher your name. Latifa happens to be TPRM assessor. Let me put it that way. Don't worry about the spelling. TPRM assessor. So Latifa will reach out to the vendor contact. Who is the vendor contact? This is Smith. Either by email or by scheduling a call. By email or scheduling a call, right? During this call or by email, you will actually, if you're doing email, you will put a note in there, put on the agenda, put on the questionnaire in there for them to complete, giving them a certain period of time to complete the questionnaire, either 2 weeks or 3 weeks, depending on your organization, depending on where you're going to be working, right? Either 2 weeks or 3 weeks. Let's stick to one. In JHotspur, when we send out a questionnaire, right, we give them 3 weeks to complete and respond back. Forget about the spelling. To complete, let's move on. So let me show you how a questionnaire looks like. Let me show you how a questionnaire looks like. This is a questionnaire. This questionnaire is called SIG. This is a SIG questionnaire. It has different domains. See, this is an interview question. Note that how many domains or can you mention 5 or 4 domains we have in SEEK? Right? We have risk management, security policy, we have organizational security, we have operational management, access control, application security, incident, event and communication management. We have business resiliency, compliance, end user device, network security, privacy, threat management, cyber security, cloud hosting. You can Google this. When you Google, you see all the domains and see. Very easy. So each domains have questions in it. Is that a yes or no? Yes or no, or not applicable? Note this. I told you this, that SEEK questionnaire is an off-the-shelf, is an off-the-shelf question or package or packet, right? And it is actually we do get this from a company or an organization called Shared Assessment Organization, right? This is not developed by Geosport. If you are using SEEK, it's not developed by us. We actually got it from off the shelf. Means it is ready-made, it's branded, ready-made. We never produced it. And I told you that Shared Assessment is an organization. They have a certification. You can do it just like we have ISACA. You know, ISACA is CISA, CISM, and the likes. So once you have this certification, you're good, you're fine. My boss on the call actually have this certification. I'm sure he paid. He paid. I remember that year, 3 years ago, 4 years ago. He actually paid for this. He was the one that actually referred me to this. But fortunately, when I was working with an organization 2 years ago, they actually paid for this certification for me. I told you in the last class. So, and what else? Yeah, I showed you guys how much this tool, this is a SEEK questionnaire tool, 50 plus government regulations, SEEK use procedure guide, documented artifact request list, and the likes. You see, these are 18 risk domains. These are the domains, right? This is an interview question, remember. So this is buying option, 4,000, 6,000. Become a member. All right. I think that's all for that. So this is SEEK. So note this, a yes or no. This is what you will send to the vendor. This is what Latifa, the TPRM analyst or assessor, will send to the vendor. Remember, is that you send it depending on your business. But in Geosport, let's assume we used to schedule a call with a vendor contact. We schedule a call with a vendor contact, letting them know that, okay, we will send this questionnaire to you, and it's going to take 3 weeks for you to complete. And and return back to us. So remember, I mentioned to you guys that these questions are controls. We want to know the controls they have in place. Notice I told you that inherent risk questions or inherent risk is more like we want to know. Inherent risk comes in, there's no control. Inherent is just like you want to know the risk that comes with a vendor. Inherent risk is a risk that comes with a vendor. Are you guys following? I want a yes.
Yes.
Yes. Yes, we are.
Yes.
Okay,
yes.
good.
Yeah.
That's
Yes.
okay. That's fine. Thank you. So, is a risk that actually comes with a vendor. Let's put it in the layman right there. I don't want to go deep into the inherent risk. Just know that this is a risk that comes with a vendor. That risk has no control. I use an example of a building for you. You build a house, the building actually has no doors, no keys. That is an inherent risk that has no control. Once you start putting a control like the door, the keys, those are the controls to mitigate the risk that comes with it, right? So that is inherent risk. Remember the form we use in deriving the inherent risk, which is I inherent risk rating. So these are controls. We want to know if they have all these controls in place, all these controls in place, all these controls in place, all these controls in place. So once they are responding to all this, remember I told you before we started this class, the first class, that always study your Security Plus textbook. I will send the link to the newcomers. Watch the security. These are the fundamental things you need to know. I used to teach security, like security fundamental, in my previous classes, but because we are so much in this class, I decided not to do it. So I gave you guys videos and book to get. So that will give you a knowledge on how to answer, how to review all these controls you're seeing here. All this, because I'm very sure some of you are dumbfounded when you're reading this, that, okay, a wireless network device connected to network. You might not know what this is. But once you are reading that textbook, you will definitely watch those videos. You will have fundamental knowledge. You don't need to know deep. You're not an engineer. You're not a network engineer to configure this. You just need to know, be compliant, have an idea of what this is all about. Yes, I've heard about this before. Remote user, and the likes. Just for you to have an idea of what this is. That's why you need to read that textbook, watch those videos. Okay, so once they complete this as yes, as no, yes, 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 and they complete almost everything on here. So what happens is they complete everything, they will send it to Latifa by email after 3 weeks. As you're sending this, is Deji on the call? Deji Adioni. Or Olasoji Adioni, I can't remember the name. Is Olasoji on the call or Deji? Okay. Anu, I want you to answer this question. Who is that, Deji or Olasoji? Okay. I'm sure you're on the Saturday class, the one I rejected, the one I didn't finish up with, right? Were you there? Okay, good. I want to ask you this question. If a vendor completes this questionnaire and send it back to Latifa, how will you actually confirm or review these controls, all the yeses? How do you attest to those yeses? That's not, no, 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 that's not right. Anu, if a vendor respond and send it back to you as an assessor, these controls, this questionnaire, back to you.
So what I'll do is sorry.
Okay.
Just a minute. So what I'll do is I'll go through all the controls of the field. So for example, on network
Speak loud.
security,
We can't hear you.
yes and no. Oh, sorry, can you hear me now?
No, you're too low for us.
How about now? Is it better?
Okay, continue. Can hear you.
So I'll go through, for example, on the tab security control, network security, right?
I think you're too low for us. Don't worry. Don't let us waste time on this. So what happened is, once you as an assessor receive the questionnaire back with the response, you need to review the artifacts, the evidence of all this stuff. I told you guys that there are evidence to this, there are artifacts to this, right? All those questions, the questionnaire comes with an artifact. Let me see if we have something related to that. Yeah. Documentation. So basically, these are documentations. Can you see? Document requests. These are documents you get back from the vendor. These are likely, let me use that word, likely documents you get back from the vendor, their application security policy, their change control policy, all these things you get back. Let's do an example. Let me show you an example so you understand better. Okay, this is another questionnaire. There are different type of questionnaires. Note that. I will tell you, don't worry, we're good. I'll show you another one. I'm supposed to give you guys I purposely did not send this assignment yet until this class. So this is another type of questionnaire. So let me tell you, some organization will use the SIG, while some organization will build their own customized questionnaires. Let's assume GeoSpot does not use SIG. We actually build our questionnaires. This is an interview question. Take note of this. Is your present organization or your previous organization, did you guys actually make use of SIG or it was developed by the organization? If you answer yes, it was developed by the organization. How was it developed, or where did you extract the controls? That's an interview question. So if you're asked that kind of question, you tell them yes, it was actually developed or extracted from ISO 27001. ISO 27001 or NIST 853 Rev 5. All these things I'm saying, I will show you. Don't worry. Let me see if I have NIST. I think I have ISO. Let me show you ISO first. We have a lot to cover, but I will run through it. Don't worry. Okay. Let me show you the NIST. I hope I have it. I have it, but I don't know if I'm able to. Shall I show you the NIST? Okay, I have IS. No, this control for. Excuse me. For the NIST. I have the file. So NIST 5304. Okay. So this is NIST. Some organization picked out controls from NIST. This is a NIST questionnaire. This is a NIST questionnaire. AC16. These are, when you see anything written AC, that's access control. They might pick control from here, from access control. These are all controls. If I click on them, you see it. They might pick controls from access control, or they pick control from. There are different control areas, domains here too. There's a lot. Or they either go and pick control from NIST. Let me see if I have the NIST. I have the NIST. I just need to make a search of it. Give me a second. Documents. Nice. No. Okay, these are ISO. So you can tell them on the code that, okay, yes, we extract controls. We developed the questionnaire from SIG and NIST. So we just say, or you say you developed the questionnaire control from NIST SP 853 Rev 5, or just ISO alone. But what I do say is we extract the controls from NIST and ISO. So if you review all these things, this ISO you're looking at is you pay for it to get it. Actually, it was given to me by one of my mentors in Dubai. So these are key management controls, It has different controls here, different controls, different removal of assets, controls. Anyway, let's move on. So this is an example of a customized control, right? So this is a control that was sent back to you by the vendor, right? That's John Smith, who is the vendor contact. Please mute yourself. Completed these questions. He actually made response on all these things, right? So he responded with these answers and also sent a document to us. What document did Smith, the vendor contact, actually send out to us? Let me show you the documents he actually sent to us. He sent out these documents to us. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I'll show you those documents. I'm going to show you those documents. So I think I have give me a second. Trying to. I'll show you guys. Okay, so he sent out the security question, the C questionnaire, along with all these. This is what we call SOAP reports. I will explain a SOAP report to you guys. This is very, 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 very. SOAP report alone will take 1 hour, but I'll try and shorten it so you guys will understand. SOAP reports. Smith, the vendor contact, send out their BCP continuity program, right? Actually send along with this questionnaire, send out to us their information security and risk management. Also, their physical security policy, right? These are all documents he sent along. These are like evidence of what is actually answered, the responses on those controls, right? On the questionnaire. Remember, I told you those questionnaires are controls. We want to know the controls they have in place, right? So let's move on. Let's say, for example, where is the questionnaire? For example, let me just pick one of these. They're asking, does your organization have a formal information security policy procedure that covers storage, access, transmission of customer data, including record containing personal information? Can you provide a copy? I'm sure you guys can read what I'm reading. So this first question, and they responded that yes, copy is attached. Let me go and look at the information security policy that they provide, right? I can't just agree that they say yes and I'm cool with it. No. Let's go see let's attest to that they have it in place. Okay, this is it. Information security and risk management standards and policy. So the table of contents, we can review it. It has purpose, security and risk management committee, hiring and onboarding, physical security, logical security. This document alone covers that control, that they have this control in place. That's the question. They said yes. So I am the reviewer. I can say, okay, this actually passed. Right? How often are this policy and related procedure reviewed? They said annually. I can go look at it. I will see it. But let's move on. Don't let us waste our time. They ask her, as your information security program, I'm sure you guys can see what I'm reading. So this question 17, yeah, is here too. Has your information security program been reviewed and or certified by an independent third party? If so, please provide a date and result of the latest review. That's the information security program. We want to know if it's been reviewed. Now, let's look at when this thing was reviewed. They mentioned here when 2018. So let's look at the documents. We are assuming that we are reviewing for 2018. Let's assume that this is because that document at 2018. Let's assume that we're in year 2018. Or yeah, let's assume we're in year 2018. And we want to review this document. What is that? What document is that? Okay, the information security. This is 2019. We are cool with it, right? We are cool with it. Okay, the response was 2019. Let's not assume we are in 2022. And in that question, in that control, they say 2018, they provided for 2018. And you look at the document is 2018. Anu, what will you do? Anu, what will you do in that situation?
I'll fill it on the comments or put that there is a gap.
God bless you. God bless you. You will not it on that questionnaire that this is a gap because this is very old, 2019. No, you need a recent one. So that's a gap right there. Okay. So I think you understand the logic of how you review all this stuff. Let's put one more and move on. This question 2.7. Do you hold SSAE 16? Another word name for SSAE 16 is SOC report or other certification. If so, please indicate which ones are last certification dates. What do they have here? 2 points. They mentioned here, they responded, they say SOC 2 type 2 for our processed and managed service provider. Data is in AWS cloud and their SOC reports can be provided as well. Okay, let's confirm if truly this is SOC 2 type 2 reports. It's pretty easy. Once you know what you're doing, it's pretty easy. It's more like compliance. All right, let's look at the AWS. But this is not AWS, but let's assume this is AWS. I have an AWS. I think I have one AWS. Yeah, I have it. I can see that. Let me show you. So this is it. Yeah. So this is it. This is the SOC report they provided. You see, SOC 2 type 2. Let me see who is here. I want to ask a question. Let me see who I'm going to call. I'm calling Titi Lola. This question is for you. Titi Lola Bale. If let's assume we're in 2022 and a vendor provide 2018 SOC report, what will you do?
In this kind of situation, I'm going to fill in gap.
Why are you filling it as gap? What do you understand by gap? What is gap?
Okay, why I'm going to fill gap is because the document they are providing me is backdated, is not current.
Okay, all right, thank you. Let's move on. So definitely, if you get a 2018 SOC report, no, that is very, very wrong. You have to get a recent one. All right. So that's where you're going to complete or you review orders and put in your comments, reviewer. So at that point, Okay. Okay. So you review that. Before we move on next thing you do, right? Let me quickly show you guys what to review and things you review. Let's look at SOC reports exactly, because you can't just look at SOC reports and say that's all. There are more details you look at that is on this control. There are some controls that relate to what is inside SOC reports. There are things you look out for when you're reviewing a SOC report, right? First of all, I need to teach you what do we understand by SOC reports, right? SOC reports. SOC reports. What is a SOC report? What is the full meaning of SOC report? SOC report is saying is no. Oh, I'm not asking. Don't worry. I don't want to disrupt the class with question or a lot of answers and all that. SOC report is service organization control, right? There is service organization control. We have SOC 1, SOC 2, and SOC 3. So SOC 1, SOC 2, and SOC 3. For SOC 1, we have what is called type 1, and there's type 1 that is type 2 kind of SOC, right? Same thing applies to SOC 2. There is type 1 and there is type 2. I know we have a lot of genius in this class. Why SOC 3? Nothing like type 1, there's nothing like type 1 or type 2 on SOC 3. SOC 3 are publicly noted. You can see it online easily. But let me tell you okay, this is an interview question. Note this as well. Remember, I told you I don't have a compilation of interview questions. As I teach, I keep remembering interview questions. But I will try and talk to some of my past students that are working, if they could get me, combination of all the interview questions they have. But personally, I don't. So they will ask you, these are an interview question. That okay, what if you have a SOC, if you are given a SOC 3 report and a SOC, okay, if you request for a SOC report and they give you a SOC 3 report, are you comfortable with that, or what will you do? Yes, what I'm going to do is I will request for a SOC 2 report instead of SOC 3 report. The interviewer might say, okay, but SOC 3 report is easily, you can get it online. You can get it when you go to the internet and you get it. Okay, you should be satisfied with that. Yes, I know I should be satisfied with that, but I feel when I get a SOC 2 report, it's going to give me more details, information that I needed, right? This is a real life experience. I've been given a SOC 3 report and they tell me, oh, we're fine with it. No, I will push more, push ahead for SOC 2 reports, because it's more detailed. I'll show you how SOC 2 report is and what to look out for. So what is different between a SOC 1 report and a SOC 2 report is pretty easy. I have a book for it, right? You guys are much. To share all this book, all this information with you guys takes me days. That's the reason why some of you are not getting some information from me. I'm sorry. Or else you disturb my life. My boss knows very well. Anyway, let's move on. Let me use this material to explain some things on a high level for you guys. So, what do we understand by SOC 1, SOC 2, SOC 3? SOC 1 report is actually referring to controls over financial reporting. I will give you an instance, don't worry. Controls over financial reporting. Controls over financial reporting. So this is it. Control relevant to user entity financial reporting. payroll processing. Let me give you an example. As a third-party risk analyst, at the top, note this. So you have a vendor. Remember, I was making use of Oracle Financials. Maybe you're trying to get an Oracle Financial, not that word financial, from a vendor. Or you're trying to get a service from a vendor called KPMG to come and audit Geospor financial reports. Which I'm asking, I want to ask, let me look at somebody to call here. I think I should call, let me call Latifa. That's my boss again, right there. Or else she's taking care of our kids. If we have a vendor, Latifa, please, are you there?
Yep, I'm here.
Okay. Okay, if we have a vendor, right, and a vendor like KPMG, we are trying to onboard to help come run a financial report as audit our financial reporting. Which of the type of SOC reports are we going to request from a vendor like KPMG right here?
SOC 1.
SOC 1, thank you. The reason why we are requesting SOC 1 is because we want to know the controls they have over financial reporting. The kind of service that render to us is a financial kind of service. So at that point, we need to know what controls do they have in place, right, within their entity, right? What controls should they have in place within their organization? That's why we are requesting for a SOC 1 report. Don't request for a SOC 2 report. Let me give you an instance of a SOC 2 report. We are trying to get a software like Workday. Workday is a software used for HR, like for onboarding, to do your payroll systems and the likes. Those kind of vendors is not a financial reporting tool. It's not a financial reporting software. At that point, you are getting a SOC 2 report from there. Why? You want to know what controls do Workday have in place in terms of availability. What do I understand by availability? I don't want to go into details in security. Availability in terms of if they're actually out of, if their system is down, or if one of their system is down, do they have backups in place? Do they have failover server? What do you have a failover server? If one server is down, do they have a backup like another server that was going to run? If you read your security, if you read that chapter 1, chapter 2 of that security plus, you understand all these things I'm saying. That's confidentiality, integrity, and availability. These are security triad, or security goal, or security objective. Under all those CIA, under all those confidentiality, integrity, and availability, you will see a lot of controls there. I don't want to go into details, but one of them is availability. We want to know that, okay, if Workday server is down, are we still, we in Geospor, do we still have the opportunity to see our data, our employee data, right? We want to know the controls they have in place here. We want to know the control they have in terms of processing integrity. That, okay, if we in Geospor input ABCF into this Workday application, are we still going to, if we want to retrieve it tomorrow, the same ABCF for John, are we still going to retrieve ABCF or not? What controls do you have in place for integrity? Right? The same thing applies to confidentiality. We want to know in this SOC report, what controls do you have for confidentiality? Right? One of the controls is, are they encrypting data? What control do they have in encrypting their data? Right? Privacy, the same thing. So that is it. But remember, I will repeat myself again. For financial, if you are dealing with financial any vendors that relate to financial, anything financial, you can request from this SOC 1 report. If it's non-financial, just note that you're taking a SOC 2 report. Type 1, type 2 report. Remind me, I will send this to you guys. If I didn't send it to you, disturb me. By chats, not by call. Excuse me. SOAP 3 reports address the same subject matter as SOAP 2 engagement. However, the use of this report is not restricted. Yes, it's not. You can see it online. It's not restricted. You see it online. If you Google, you'll see a certification on SOAP reports, a SOAP 3 report. If you just Google, you can Google Microsoft SOAP 3 reports, or just Google SOAP 3 report and go to images. There's no time for that. You know, we used to do that in the class to see, but we have a lot to cover. So you can note yourself, SOAP report structure. This is how a SOAP report is being structured. If I'm this is an interview question. They can ask you that, okay, well, what do you look for? I like to speak so well on sections. Section 1, what section 1 is all about? What section 2 is? Section 3, section 4. I will show you all this in the SOAP report now. But before we get to this place, there's one thing I want to note that is not here, which is this SOAP 1 report. I mentioned to you that there's type 1, type 2, right? What's my notes? Type 1, type 2. Type 1 covers, if you see anything related to type 1 is talking about the design of control, how a control is being designed. I don't think I need to go details here. You are a third-party risk. If you are not auditors, I would have explained better, but we are third-party analysts. So how a control is being designed, right? If you are given a SOAP 1, type 1 kind of reports, please reject it because it's not detailed. I'll tell you why. If you are given a SOAP 2 type 1, is not comprehensive enough. I think I have an example of that here, right? I told you SOAP 3, no. But a SOAP 1 type 2, SOAP 2 type 2, fine. Type 1, anything related to type 1, is just telling you, okay, how we design a control, right? It's not telling you the effectiveness, the operating effectiveness of that control. For you to know the detail of that control, that, okay, yes, this control is well designed and is operating effectively. Let me give you an example. Layman, I'm making an example of, I build a house. They actually designed a control. What is the control they design? They designed a door for me. So they bring you the door, and that's the design of the control to my house, right? They fit in the door, the size, everything, put it in. That they design a control to it, which is a door. But how do you know if the control, which is the door, is operating effectively? I have to make sure that they give me a warranty on it to make use of that door for 6 months. During that 6 months, if it's fine, yes, it's operating effectively. That means we've tested it and we know, okay, yeah, this is operating effectively. That is the same thing that applies to SOAP 1 type 2 report. SOAP 1 type 2 report will give you a detailed design of that control and operating effectiveness of those controls. But type 1 will only give you how the control is being designed. That is it. Let's now go into the controls. What's it called? Let me show you sample. There's a sample. There's a SOAP 2 report. What kind of report is this? Let's see. You see? Consult. Okay, I don't want to call on. Tolu Lope Olaniyan. What type of SOAP 2 report is this?
This is Temitayo Olaniyan, and it's
no, Olaniyan. No. Tolu Olaniyan. There's Tolu Olaniyan in class.
Okay. I
Yeah.
want to answer.
Yeah.
Hi.
Tolu Ola. Yeah. Hi.
SOAP 2,
Yeah. SOAP 2 type what?
type 2.
What do you see type 2 here?
I said SOAP 2, type 1.
That's fine. Mute yourself. This is a type 1 report. All right. Okay. I want to ask a question. Symbiote. Unmute yourself. If I notice that you are not responding to me, that means you are not in the class. You just put up the call and you're out. I'll take you off. Simple like KBC. I guess this person is not in this class. Okay, I'm gonna move out this person. Easy. Remove. Submit. Don't report. All right, she's out. Tommy, unmute yourself. I have a question for you. Tommy Ogumekon. Okay, I think this is an opportunity for me to start taking people out. I told you guys, I'm wasting my time here, my precious time, and people are just calling, and they move out of their table or their desk. Yes, I'm taking it out too. All right. Zainab.
Yes, go ahead.
Okay. This is a SOC 2 type 1 report. If you are given a SOC 2 type 1 report, what will you do?
I'll reject it.
Why are you rejecting?
Because it doesn't have enough details like the type 2 report.
All right, thank you. Okay, this is a SOC 2 report. I want to ask a question too. If I have a vendor and the vendor is providing a services for me, so the kind of service they're providing for me is they're providing a software, and the software we will be running financial report on the software, like our like doing the financial statements, anything related to financial as a whole, right? Balance sheets and the likes. What kind of SOC reports do you think we're going to request from the vendor? I want to call on someone.
SOC 1.
No.
Sorry.
I'm calling, please. I'm not giving everybody access to talk. I'll give you access to talk, please. Okay, Uraola, what kind of SOC reports will you request?
SOC 2.
Why are you requesting a
SOC
SOC 2 report? Why SOC 2 reports?
I'll report SOC 2. I'll request SOC 2 type 2 because it's well detailed, and it will help me.
Okay. That's enough. Thank you. Okay. So Lu Lope Olaniyo again. Let me repeat myself. If you have a vendor and the vendor is going to be providing a software, and that software will be 100% used financial reports, running balance sheets, anything related to financials, running for SOX audits, everything related to SOX audits and the likes. What kind of SOC reports will you want to request?
SOC 1.
Why SOC 1?
Because it has all the information I need. And it has financial reports too.
Okay,
like
that's what I want to
payrolls.
hear. That's what I want to hear. That's what controls over financial reporting. Thank you. Okay, let's move on. I have more people to call. So this is a SOC 2 report, a type 1 report. So yeah, he's talking about a type 1 report is not nice. So I'll tell you what is missing here, right? If you look at this report does not have, let's move on. We'll get there. Section 3. Section 3. Section 4. So if you notice this section 4, it's only listed the controls, right? These are the controls we have for the vendor. This is the control for the service organization. Let's use the word vendor. We are third-party risk analysts. The vendors, these are the controls they have in place. These are all the controls they have in place. An IDS is in place to analyze network device logs and report possible actual network security breaches. See, all these things are easy. If you read those books, read those, you will know what is IDS is. There's IDS, there's IPS. Let me, Soji, is Soji in the class? Is your last Soji in the class? I don't know if, okay, do you know what IDS and IPS is? Okay, I want you to explain. Can you give us a high level to what IPS and IDS? I know this is not security class, but just give them a tip. Let's give them like this one is like, okay, like a tip. In your own word, don't worry. Okay. Okay, don't let us go into details. Don't worry. Thank you. All right. So these are the controls. Can you see all these controls? Just notes. Don't worry, notes. You see, we only have the controls here, right? Just the controls in this SOC 1 report. This is SOC 2 type 1. In this type 1 report, excuse me. Let me give you an example of a type 2 report, and you see the difference. Where is this AWS? This is SOC 2. The one we just look at is a SOC 2 type 1, right? Which only stated the controls. That's all. Why this is AWS? This is a SOC 2 type 2 report, right? So, yeah, this was produced by EY for AWS. I'll tell you what that is, right? Don't worry. So let's look at this report. This report. Look at this report. Okay. I'm telling you the difference now. You will see the difference. You will be the one to notice the difference. It's much. But I'll tell you to notice the difference. So these are the controls too, right? These are the criteria descriptions. But note, these are controls. So they are telling us the controls. These are the controls. You see, these are controls. If I click on it, okay. I don't want to go get this please first. So these are still the control, right? So the control. These are controls. Controls they have in place. These are all controls. So at this junction, section 4. Remember this place. This is section 4. There are section 4 stores. This is section 4 too. It only have control activity, just the control. Why for this? In this section 4, look at the difference. They have the control. They have the test performed by EY. EY is the auditing firm that actually test this control for them. These are the control. These are the way they tested the control. This is the result of the control. Why for the type 1 only mention the control, but type 2 will mention how they tested the control and what is the result of the control. Before I explain further this part, let me tell you, a SOC report is given to you by your vendor. That SOC report is just to say, okay, these are the controls we have in place in Oracle. Let's say, for example, in Oracle, which is our vendor. In Oracle, these are the controls we have in place. Review those controls, we have it in place. It has been tested, it's well designed. But let me tell you this, those controls that are tested or that are designed is not performed by Oracle itself. They give it to an independent audit company like KPMG, like EY, like Deloitte, like PwC, like Grant Thornton, and the likes. So they will be the one to create this report. for them. Why can't they create the report by themselves? Tola, Nero, why can't they create that report by themselves? Why are they giving it to an independent auditor to create this report?
To ensure the lack of bias.
Thank you. Send me a DM and mention your name and tell me the answer so I remember. Any other person? Oh, hold on. Let me call names. I don't want a traffic in this meeting. Let me call Topper of us. Topper of us.
Yes, sir, the question again. Yes, sir, the question.
Oh, definitely you were sleeping.
No.
So what happened? Anyway,
Because,
I'm not repeating myself here. You watch the recording and you listen.
okay,
Ade Oshin, don't worry, that's gone. Ade Oshilaro. I hope I didn't butcher your name. Ade Oshilaro. I'm sorry if I butchered the name.
Yeah, you tried.
Okay.
Yeah, I think it's just all about trying to create transparency.
Thank you so much.
According to the NIST policy, you needed an independent.
Don't let us go. Don't let us go into the next policy. I know now. Now that you mentioned this, that means you have idea because you've done that part before. So I can't tell you to DM me. Thank you so much. Anyway, Adedamola, I don't know if you're at work or you're at home.
Yeah.
Okay. Can you give me why is this not created by Oracle, by the Oracle itself? Why is it created by an auditor, by a separate firm, an entity firm, a separate entity firm?
To have a detailed information about it.
What do you mean by having a detailed information about it? Anyway, don't worry, you will know as time goes on. One more person I want to call is Afis Anifowoshe.
Yeah. It's to avoid being biased.
Okay, thank you. I wish I could call everybody. Okay, I want to call a friend of mine, a naughty friend of mine. Good luck. Why? Can you tell us the reason why?
That's not a friend though, but yeah. All right, so I mean, everyone already said so. Being from a top party, like that's kind of like for privacy, for like making sure that because if you're doing it by yourself, somehow you might be biased about it, and if other company trying to like see the report and see that you're the one doing it, they will be like maybe having an instinct that maybe you're being biased about some control. Maybe you don't have it. You just wrote it and that you do have it.
Okay.
Just gotta like give them more should I say like insight.
Thank you so much. Well, this my naughty friend is an IT auditor, so I won't blame him.
Yes, that.
All right, thank you. Let's move on. I hope my boss is still here because don't go because you will talk. Is Mr. Joseph, are you still around?
Yes, sir. Don't
All
take
right.
me please.
Thank you so much. All right, so where we okay, just explaining. So the difference within type 1 and the type 2 of any report you're getting it has more details of controls. So look at result of tests. So yeah, these are the things you give you more details of what's the result of the test and the likes and everything. So let's not go further. So what do we look out for when reviewing a SOC report? There are certain things we look out for, right? So let me go into where's my slide? There are certain things we look out for when reviewing a SOC report. So basically, these are the artifacts, part of the artifacts or evidence you get from the third party, right? SOC 1 type 2, SOC 2 type 2, ISO certification. Did I explain this ISO? I think I explained the first class, what's the first recording. So this ISO is basically saying, okay, if you get this ISO from your vendor, right, it's basically saying, okay, we've gone through all the 114 controls from ISMS, ISO, and they are being certified. So that's what the certification is saying. PC, so this is an interview question. They might ask you that, okay, if a vendor does not provide their SOC report, what is a similar report, similar document you get from them? It's ISO. So because ISO is basically telling they've gone through all the controls and the likes. But another question, the first question I asked you guys, that's an interview question. I did one interview as well from, I think, Dell, I can't remember. They asked me, the interviewer said, okay, if you are, which one do you prefer, a SOC report or a ISO certification? I'm throwing this question out. Buki Salau, if you are given a SOC report and an ISO certification, which one do you prefer? Buki Salau.
It depends on the organization, the vendor. If it's an international one, definitely I would want an ISO. And if it's one that is like local, definitely I can use a SOC report for that one.
Okay, the same question. If you are given both, let me ask you, if you have the pleasure of getting both, which one will you prefer? I'm just asking, which one will you prefer? And tell me why.
Okay, I guess it's a case by case situation still. If
It's
it's
not
a
a
SOC
case by
report,
case. I will be sincere with you. It's not a case. Let me cancel that.
okay.
Yeah.
If it's something that has to do with financial reporting, or compliance, I would definitely use a SOC report, SOC 1 or 2. If it's something that has
hold on. I want to act like an Indian now. If you are doing if you are doing an interview with an Indian guy, what you just said now, we will not ask you further question on it. So I'll tell you to hold on there. You mentioned that if it's a financial vendor or something, you get a SOC 2 report. That's what you say, right?
I said a SOC 1 or 2.
SOC 1 or 2?
Yes.
You are not sure. That means you're not sure.
No, I'm saying that because if it's a SOC 1, definitely financial reporting and operations. If it's a SOC 2, then compliance. If it's something related to compliance or so.
Security criteria, trust criteria.
Yes, exactly. Controls, security.
All right, thank you. But my question is not answered yet. I want to call another person. Yeah. I want to call another person before. Pastor. I can see pastor here. I don't know if it's pastor or pastor's wife, but I can see pastor's name. Pastor, if you have a SOC report, and you are giving a SOC report and ISO, which one will you prefer? And tell me why. This is an interview question. Twice. I've been asked this question twice.
My own approach is that it depends on the type of assessment or what is required for that particular assessment. Because if I'm taking an ISO, then I want to rely upon the standard. But as for me, I would want to go with ISO because if the company have been certified, that means they have gone through all their controls environment, and it means that I can rely upon it because ISO has actually gone through their control environment. They are certified that they are effective.
Thank you. Okay. I'm looking for someone else here that I want to call. Bisola Okuntari.
Okay. I'll prefer the ISO because it depends on the organization, and I believe they've gone through it, and it's what they developed their questionnaire for the form.
Okay, that's fine. Don't worry. I have to call on Kimberly. You've been moved for years. Kimberly, you've been moved for years. Which one will you prefer, ISO certification or SOC report? Which one will you prefer? You moved. Is Kimberly in the class? I know you just on your mic now. Kimberly? Okay. Mary. Mary.
Yes, I would prefer the ISO report because
Okay.
I believe
I think I have to stop everyone now because everybody keeps saying ISO. Let me tell you why I won't go with ISO, right? Let me tell you why. ISO, yes, fine. They've gone through the background implementation, audits, and the likes. But there is no visibility to ISO. But SOC report will give visibility. When I say visibility in terms of you're seeing the controls, they perform the testing of those controls. You want to know if these controls are there are deviation. When I say deviation, is there failure to it or no failure? Let me go back to SOC reports. SOC reports will give you more detail. Yes, I would prefer to get, if they have both, I will tell, okay, can you give me the SOC report? I prefer to take SOC reports because certification is just certification. Yes, they've gone through all those controls, fine. But me personally, I will get SOC because I want to look at more information, the detailed information. Let's go back to that report. So I will definitely want to get this to see all the controls they have in place. Looking at the controls, all these things you are seeing are the results of this control. If this result says deviation noted, meaning the control fails, but now no deviation, meaning it passed. So I want to see those ones that actually fails, those controls that fails in the SOC report. And if it fails, was it addressed? SOC reports are addressed. The controls are addressed in section 5. That is the management responses. If it is not addressed in section 5 in the management responses, that means it's a gap. The SOC report itself is a gap for me. So you are having the SOC report because you have visibility to it. You can see everything. Let me tell you another advantage of you reviewing the SOC reports is you want to know if they have subcontractors. Does Oracle have subcontractors? Who are subcontractors? Subcontractors are those like a fourth party to GeoSport. Like we're getting Oracle is my vendor, but Oracle is telling me that okay, the people that will be maintaining the subcontractor, we have a vendor, they have a vendor that will be doing the support and maintenance on their behalf. To us, to GeoSport, those that will be performing the support and maintenance, they are fourth party to us. They are subcontractors. They are sub-service organization. Note those words: sub-service, subcontractor, fourth party. Right? It's going to be seen in this report. I don't know if I have it here. So those are the things you need to note. This report will give me a lot of information. Right? In this report as well, let me go to my point. Why I'm picking SOC reports to ISO, right? This is an interview question. It now depends. If you are working in any acquisition, they will tell you that, okay, don't get a SOC report, get an ISO. It now depends. Note this. It depends on your organization policy. That, okay, if you are getting an artifact from a vendor, if a vendor provide ISO, take ISO. ISO is more preferable to us. But generic, in a general term, if you're asked in an interview, you have to mention a SOC report over ISO because of the extensive information that you will see. So in this thing, let's look at what things we will definitely, oh no, this is not comprehensive. Hold on, this is not comprehensive. Let me go back to my, oh, okay. So let me bring up my whole document. I hope I have it. Excuse me, Finidocs. Oh, okay. It's here, but it's fainted. Oh, okay. I think it's the background. Let me change the background. Let me change the background. Sorry.
Pause recording.
Okay, that's fine. Let me forget. Okay. So I think we're good just for that too. Yeah. So what do I look for? I know it's not. Let me see if I could change the font. So sorry. So what are the things that I look for when reviewing a SOC report? A SOC 2 or a SOC 1 type 2 report, either way. First and foremost, so these are the company I was using before GeoSpor. So let's assume this is GeoSpor. Let's assume these are GeoSpor. So first and foremost, I want to look at ensure that the service organization, ensure that the service described in the report aligns with what is provided by the service organization. First and foremost, I will look at this. You can mute yourself, please. I will look at that report and see if the service they are providing. For example, we are saying, okay, AWS is providing cloud hosting service for us, right? That's what they're providing. But in this report, we are seeing that, okay, AWS is providing, let me look at the description of the service. We can find it in section 1, right? To see, okay, what kind of service, I don't want to go into details here. What kind of service are they providing? You can say, okay, maybe when you look at the report, you see that, okay, they're providing, let's say they're providing janitorial service in the description of the service. When you review the report, you're seeing that they're providing janitorial service. It doesn't align. So those are the things you need to pick out. You have to make sure that the service they are providing has to align with what the service they're providing aligns with what truly they are providing to GeoSpor. That's number one thing you need to look out for. You have to make sure that it aligns, right? You have to ensure that the period concerning your audit assessment date is relevant. Note, for period not covered in SOC report, a bridge letter. Let me explain that. A SOC report is given to you. Like that SOC report we see 2018, automatically you send it back. So let's assume a SOC report is given for 2021 to 2021 September to 2021 August to 2022 August, right? And you are given that kind of report now. Note this, 2021 August to 2022 July. Let's assume July 2022. We have August, September, October, November, December left, right? So at that point, you will request for when they give you that report, you also request for the bridge data. Bridge data covers that period, that remaining period. What they're telling you is, okay, within this period, we still have this control in place, nothing is wrong, everything is fine. I don't want to go into details, right? Note that. I have a sample bridge letter for you, right? Any question before I move on? Let me use 5 minutes. Okay, before I move on for questions, yeah, let me explain all these things. And I want my boss to just pick if you have any additional thing to add. So determine, how do you, this one is saying determine opinion of the independent service auditor, if it's qualified or or unqualified or qualified. Do you know why I'm smiling? If I explain this, it's funny. This is an interview question 3 years ago. Yes. I was asked, okay, what's the difference between qualified and unqualified? So in this section here, this independent service auditor report, if you review this is where you see if truly this report is qualified or unqualified. What's the difference between qualified and unqualified opinion? Qualified opinion is vice versa. Please open your ear. Be sensitive to this. Qualified is simply saying, okay, there are gaps. Noted that there are a lot. This report is not the controls. There's a lot of controls that actually fails in it. Things are not right in these reports. That's qualified opinion. But the vice versa is unqualified. If you say unqualified, that means this control, a lot of control pass. The report is fine. Everything is okay. So the independent controller, EY, will be the one to give that report to see if it's qualified or unqualified. I don't want to say more than that. Keep your question. There will be room for question when Mr. Joseph speaks on this. There's a lot to sink in. I told you it's vice versa. Unqualified means it's okay. The report is fine. Qualified, there is a gap in the report. The report is not okay, right? So always look out for this. You have to inspect and observe. Okay, I think I have the notes here. If qualified, evaluate and determine impact to KTA environment, impact to geospore. So let's assume that we have this report, and that AWS report was, we notice that, okay, the report is an unqualified, is a qualified opinion. There's a qualified opinion by the independent auditor. We need to know what is the impact of the existence of the gap noted, all those gaps noted. And we have to confirm from them if they have a compensating control to mitigate all the gaps noted, all the findings noted, all the risk identified. Oh, where's my, okay. So, to ensure the name of the audit firm that issued the report is stated. Of course, that report I just showed you now has EY in it. That report has EY in it. You see, EY, the name is there. We have their name. You have to make sure it has the name. You have to look at the dates, make sure the period is covered, is dated, is complete. You know, the signature, you have to make sure their signature is there. Where is that signature part? So just make sure you look for the signature where they have their signature in these reports. Sorry, running out of time. See a few things to go through. Oops. Okay. Ensure most likely qualified CPA signed the report and dated. Of course, EY is a qualified CPA firm, certified public accounting firm. They actually signed the report and dated. I showed you the dates, so you can look at the dates and the signature. You want to determine if the service of engage a subcontractor. Note, I mentioned this. In that report, they will tell you, okay, if they have subcontractors that is working on their behalf to geospore. Right, to geospore. If they have a subcontractor, you want to know if the subservice, if the subcontractor, right, the description of the service align, is inclusive in the report. And you have to make sure it's inclusive. And again, you want to make sure it's aligned. The service that, because let me give you an instance. Oracle will tell you they have 10 vendors, 10 subcontractors, subservice. Not all, note this, not all the subcontractor will be providing a service to geospore. It might just be 2 of them. So note that very well, right? You want to look at the complementary user entity control. Let me see if this has a complementary user entity control. Where is the search? Complementary user entity. Okay. Do you know what this complementary user is? Let me just explain to you. What's complementary thing is, we in Geosport, these are the controls you have to make sure you abide with. Yes, we know we have control in place to cover our service that we are rendering, but you too have to take part. You have to be responsible on taking all this control. Let me explain again. These are the controls that Geosport, right? The vendor is telling us that you have to make sure you have this control in place. If anything happens, we are not liable. So make sure these controls are in place in your organization. Let's take one as an example. Yeah, they are saying customers should, that's Geosport, should use asymmetric key pairs or multi-factor authentication. We all know what multi-factor authentication is, of course. Use your password, you get a PIN on your phone, you insert the PIN. Those are multi-factor authentication to access their host and avoid simple password-based authentication. You have to make sure you implement this control in Geosport. That's what they are telling you, that if anything happens, don't hold responsible. We are telling you, do this to your system. Do this to the service you are providing. That's what complementary user entity is saying, right? I think I'm fine. Mr. Joseph, please, do you have anything to say to this reports, what to look out for?
Sure, I can speak to that.
Yes, sir.
Thank you very much.
I would like to say something, please.
No, hold on.
Yeah, that's okay. Go ahead.
Okay, you can go ahead.
All right, so it's just to shed a little light based on my own understanding of what you've just
Who is talking, please?
Olajuwon.
Okay, all right.
So the way I understand the complementary user entity control is, if I'm going to use an example, for instance, if we are designing a self-driving vehicle, right, installed with software to avoid or to avert an accident, it doesn't mean that the person who is driving the car would not put all caution out there without necessarily pressing their brakes when they are approaching an oncoming vehicle. So my understanding basically is saying, if you have a self-driving vehicle, even though it's equipped with controls to avoid an accident, as the user of that vehicle, your responsibility is to pay attention to your surrounding and press your brake when your vehicle is approaching an object or a human being.
Thank you. I appreciate. Mr. Joseph.
Yeah, I think we need more questions. Excellent on that. Excellent. Good job on that. However, the way you describe it, try to describe it like access control, like physical control. So maybe you try to say, okay, you having access to our platform. We encrypted data with these strengths. However, you as a user, we want you to encrypt with TLS 1.2 or AES 256 at rest. So that's a good one. But I want you, as you learn this whole vendor risk process, I want you to start using those taxonomy in IT way. Okay, great job on that. I think I'm going to use this time to just answer questions. Let me give room to anybody. Whatever question you have, go ahead and let us try to answer it. Any question?
Good evening. This is Kende Olukunle. I have a question. Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am. Go ahead.
Oh, okay. My question is the vendor going to answer all the 18 risk domain questions on the questionnaire?
Great question. So that's where you come in.
Okay.
First, some of those questions might not be applicable to that vendor at all, based on the services they are providing to your company.
Okay.
Maybe they're just picking trash from, the side of your company. You're not going to ask that vendor to provide a stock report, or you're not going to be asking the vendor, where do you store my data, or PII or social security number. They don't even touch none of that. They just pick trash from your side. So those questions, you will treat them, even if they don't answer it, you won't count it against them. Okay? Because the way the C questionnaire is designed, it was designed as a standard gathering tool. That means anybody, right? But as you become expert in your field, you start to draft your questionnaire, right? You might start writing the vendor, they pick trash. You might want to ask questions like, when do you pick trash? Do you pick it 5 a.m. or 6 a.m. before the workers come in, right? So they don't have to complete all of those questions. However, if they do, you don't need to hold it against them, because they can say, no, it's not applicable. Okay. Good question. More questions. You can ask any question, whether from 2 days ago, 3 days. Ask any question, anything you feel you are not clear on. Remember, Mr. John is exposed in a different environment. Me too, I work in a different company, right? That means all these environments are different. When I say environment, I mean company, right? I mean, the way we do things is different from the way they do things. So ask a question. Maybe by the time I start talking about my environment, then you can connect the dots.
Good evening, sir.
I have a question, please.
I have one question for you, sir. Good evening. My name is Ayo.
Okay.
My question is very simple. So when you send this questionnaire to these companies, right, and we've given them, let's say, 3 weeks to respond to us, what if they fail to respond in that 3 weeks? What do we then do at that point?
Good question. Remember, compliance. You are trying to manage a vendor, right? So before you even, first of all, reach out to the vendor, you will do what we call the kickoff meeting with that business unit or business owner or control owner, whoever, whatever taxonomy they use. When you talking to that business owner, because you have experience, you will tell them that, look, I will need your help should the case the vendor is not responding in a timely manner. Okay. Most cases, some company will put SLA in the contract saying you must respond within 2 weeks to our questionnaires or our third-party risk team or our vendor risk management team. When it's time for you to do assessment, once you send those questionnaire, request your attestation report, 2 weeks, they don't reach out to you. You can do a follow-up 1 week and they still don't reach out to you. This is where you will circle back to the business owner. Because you had that kickoff with that business owner, you let them know that the vendor is not responding. However, from my experience, what I normally do when I'm reaching out to that vendor, I usually CC the business owner or the control owner or whatever taxonomy that person is. I will CC them. When the vendor is not responding, if I respond 2, 3 times, the business owner will then respond. So that's how you mitigate those roadblocks. In fact, that's an interview question.
I wanted to say that now. I've been asked that question multiple times. So not that, that's an interview question.
Thank you.
I think I have Olasoji. Olasoji, can you ask a question? ISO, not, let me note that ISO is 3 years. ISO is 3 years. Yeah. Yes. Are you referring to SOC reports? Okay.
Good question, sir. So the SOC report is annually, right? I remember before it gets to that expiration date, they would have already kicked off an assessment, just like you are doing vendor risk assessment, right? They will already kick off an assessment. Because it's a company, they're well organized. They already pay this third-party audit, X and Yon, Deloitte, KPMG, and the like. So when it gets to, let's say, 3 months before that time, they start kicking off that assessment. Once you are doing an assessment and you know that the one is already lapsed, there are options that you can take. One, you know they're going to get you another one, right? In March, you know they're doing another one. For you to gain an external assurance, that's where you request for what we call a gap or a bridge letter. What you're doing with that is that you are bridging that gap, okay? The letter will state something like, the controls that the auditors have examined have no material changes or weakness, or they are not aware of any material changes. You will see such language in that report. And that the statement that the auditor made in the previous SOC report, they will state the date that every control is working effectively as designed. You will see a date, the senior person in that company will sign, and you will see somebody signing with actual signature on a pen. It's not like a print. So those are what you will look for, and you would accept that as part of your evidence.
Thank you. I have, hold on, please. I have Mary. Mary, can you please mute yourself if you're not talking? Mary, question. Okay, we'll be taking question for the next 7 minutes because I want Mr. Joseph to speak on what to look out for when you're reviewing PCI DSS and for privacy as well. But for now, let's take off the remaining 7 minutes for questions. Mary, ask your question.
Thank you. I think my question still works around the previous question he asked. And I think I was asked that question, an interview question. When the vendor refuses to give you a particular document and you find out maybe they have a data breach, by virtue the customer is an existing customer and you have a big win, maybe like a VP that wants you to just close up on the vendor, and do you just now, and they're saying no, maybe they don't have the penetration testing to give to you and all that. Do you give your qualified opinion to the business owner, or what do you do at that point when the vendor is saying no and you have a big win that wants you to just bring them on board? So how do you advise we give our response to such question?
Great. Looks like you people prepare here. So look at it. You are not the risk owner, okay? Technically, you're supporting the business owner. I don't know whether you call it a business owner, a unit owner, control owner. That person that have that relationship with that vendor is the one that owns that risk. Your job actually as a third-party risk manager or vendor risk manager or analyst, you are actually supporting him so that he or she can make informed decision. When you're in a scenario like that, the vendor have a lot of vulnerabilities and findings, and they push it back, giving you those attestation report. What you would do on your end, you will document those. You will make sure you write clearly. The vendor unable to provide third-party attestation report, and we are unable to gain external assurance of the control, design, and effectiveness. You put that there. In this data, you put all of those information there. You will then schedule a meeting with the business owner and let them know what the gaps or findings, whatever you want to call it, vulnerability, whatever it is. You make the business owner understand, and you also let them know the evidence you need to close that finding. At that point, the business owner will be the one working with the VP or whoever want that assessment to be closed. If they ask you to close the assessment, you will still go ahead and close the assessment with that report that you generate. That means you are taking yourself out of the equation. Your report is what they're now relying on. Make sure you always document that, but you don't own the risk. The business owns the risk. You are there to support them.
Thank you so much. So let me give you an addition to that. Yeah, business on the risk. You are just to advise them on the risk noted. You don't make decision. They make decision because they own it. So at that point, what Mr. Joseph mentioned is draft the findings, give it to them. They'll be the one to say, okay, yes, I'm accepting this risk, or I don't want to accept this risk, want to go with another vendor. But most times, just based on your question, they want to accept the risk. So give them to accept the risk and they sign.
Hello, Mr. John. Hello, Mr. John. Sorry, please. Just a follow-up question regarding this topic. Is it okay to give them recommendation?
If they don't have, yes, it's okay to give the vendor recommendation if they don't have a compensating controls in place.
Okay, thank you.
Yes. I have, let me see, I have 1, 2, 3 people to, these are the last 3 people before we move on. Oladipo, your question.
Hi. So I know that in the last class, you said there are 3 types of questionnaires we send to the vendors, but we only talked about the SIG and we never talked about the remaining 2. So my question is, what are the remaining 2 types of questionnaires we send?
Okay. Yeah, I actually mentioned that when I say 3 types, I'm not saying you are sending the whole 3. I'm just giving 3 types. I actually talk about 2. I talk about the SIG, depending on the jurisdiction you're working with. They have some company have SIG that they use, which is off the shelf. The second one I mentioned is you might be working on a vision whereby they actually developed a customized questionnaire by themselves. They might ask you in that interview, how was it developed? I've been asked several times. If you don't know, you don't just mention customized, just mention SIG. But if you know what your stuff very well, you can tell them that your previous work, you customize questionnaire. They will ask you, how do you customize it? Simple. It is actually being extracted from ISO 27001 and from NIST 853 Rev 4 or Rev 5. We have Rev 5 now. Or you can say all your controls are from NIST 853. It depends. The third kind of questionnaire we have is basically used or mostly used, 99% used in the financial industry. It is called KY3P questionnaire. I will show you how that questionnaire look like. I'll show you, but I don't share it. Give me a second. Okay. So this is how it look like. This KY3P questionnaire. It has BCB, DRP. This is the BCB, DRP section. It has different domains, but the domains are focused on financial side of it, like mostly in the financial industry. But just know that we have KY3P. So yeah, I hope I'm fine with it. You're fine with that, right?
Yes, I'm fine. Thank you.
Okay, DG or DJ.
Hold on, John.
Okay, okay. Hold on. I think
Just
Mr.
to
Joseph.
add to that, maybe you are being interviewed by somebody who work in shared asset company. I don't know if that's where they ask you that question. The way you will respond to that will be a little bit different. You will say, we leverage various type of C questionnaire from the shared assessment. such as the C core, like CORE, the C core. You tell them that one is used for your cloud vendors. And you also see we have the SIG Lite, LITE, SIG Lite. And that those ones, you use them for your medium risk vendors. Then you can also see what John said, that you have the customized one, which is within our environment. The reason why I wanted to say that, some people can be so petty when they're asking you those questions. However, if it's just a big company like financial, you will go by what John said.
Thank you so much. Another, just like I want to add to what Mr. Joseph said, I just remember for cloud, most companies, for their cloud vendor, they use Cake. Most companies use Cake Lite. I think I mentioned this when I was about teaching the last class. So Cake Lite. So this is another question, but mostly for their cloud vendors. It's not much. The questions are not much, and it's actually been it's an off-the-shelf questionnaire too. So just note that. The last question, DJ.
Yeah, I had a question regarding the gap being noted when we are reviewing the SOC. Could we have instances when the gap could be so much that we have to let go of the vendor? I know we talked about the bridge, that we could do a bridge to sort of bridge the gap, but do we have instances when we might not be able to proceed with the onboarding because of the gaps are just too much?
So, good question. So you use the word onboarding. So I think when you say onboarding, you mean when you just bringing in the vendor?
That's correct.
So when you bringing in the vendors, most likely they won't share their SOC 2 type 2 with you. They might provide you SOC 3 and they just bring some InfoSec policy. But however, let's just assume it's an ongoing assessment, right? I think that's where the situation will actually work better. Again, you are not the business. It might come to a situation where they don't have any controls at all. All you doing is making recommendation. Once you see a gap or security vulnerability, all you're doing is making recommendations so that the business will make those decisions. Let's just assume, like you said, onboarding, they give you SOC 2. All of these gaps are there. Control deviated, or deviated, because that's what they write, or they say a section noted in the SOC report. There's a lot of them. All you will do, you will review it, come out and say they have a lot of deviation in access control. They don't patch their system. They don't encrypt data. They don't have a well-documented policy signed and dated. You will write all of this and then walk the business owner through, or procurement, whatever the team is. Then you will stay back. They are the ones that make those decisions. You don't have the power to say whether they move forward or they don't move forward. Remember, if I have a company and John have a software he wants to sell to my company, remember I'm going to onboard that solution regardless, because he's my friend, right? Right? You're not going to stop. I'm going to let him bring the tool in. Then we'll accept the risk. So always think of it like this. You're supporting, all your job is to support the business to make informed information security and privacy decision. If you stand there, you will not be fighting nobody.
I remember I don't know, those that actually joined my first class or second class, I can't remember, second class. I said it before that I have been in a situation where I was fired because I was actually insisting that no, they won't use a vendor. I was fighting with a partner, not even a partner in one of the big four. So please don't do that. Just make a recommendation and let them sign. If there's any acceptance, they will accept the risk or exemption policy noted. So they'll be the one to sign and you move on. That's an evidence for you. All right. So we have a few minutes. I know we'll go past, let's say 10 minutes. Mr. Joseph, please, can you please, I have you here. So can you please just help us to run through what we look out for in PCI DSS and privacy, I think for CCPA, just three before we round up.
On a high level,
yes, high level.
Look at it this way. Just like you have the SOC report as attestation report you request from the vendor. I heard John said if they process like payroll services, you ask for SOC 1. If it's like a SaaS solution, you ask for a SOC 2 type 2. And why do you ask for SOC 2 type 2? Because there are 5 trust principles in there: confidentiality, integrity, availability, security, and privacy in SOC 2. And that's why I heard most of you say, because it's more detailed, there's more controls in there that has been tested. See, it's the same way with PCI DSS. Any vendor that process credit card, okay, they have to conform to this standard. It's a whole list of 12 standard, and it was breaking down to 100 and something or 200 and something controls. But the high level is 12 standard. I'm not going to be able to go through it today. Once a company undergoes that, or a vendor undergoes that, they usually have what we call the AOC, attestation of compliance. It's just like they give you ISO. You don't know what controls they test, or they test control, but that's the certificate. So if, for instance, you're assessing a vendor and they say this vendor process credit card for you or debit card, what you will do, you will request AOC from them, okay? They also have SAQ, okay? That's a questionnaire for them. It covers all of these, the you encrypt data, data, do you have information security policy, network security, all of those standards are there. When they send you this AOC, what you're looking for is the same like what you're looking for in ISO. You ensure it is dated and signed, okay? You ensure that you usually don't have a scope in there, but if you read through a little bit, you will understand what services they provide. So you will see if it's aligned to the services that they currently provide for you. The AOC, you also look, most times there are controls, you will see controls, some of them you will see controls that actually the list the 12 PCI DSS. Those are what you're looking at in an AOC. There are times you see a QSA, okay? You want to make sure a QSA is signed in there, and the company executive also signed there. So it's basic, just everything you're looking for in an ISO. This is a certificate. Remember, you're not the one testing it. PCI DSS standard require them to do it every year. So if you are doing it, if you did it November this year, next year they expected to give you another one. Okay? Any question on those? And also, they have different version. Currently now they have version 3.2.1. Okay, it don't mean no different. Maybe they have more questions next year because of pandemic. They might change it 3.2.2. Okay, the version don't really mean no much different. Okay, any question on that? Okay.
So you did talk about like ongoing monitoring. So would that be like, so for like this one that you have to renew it every year, that means that the same TPRM assessor would be the same person that would still carry on the ongoing monitoring, or how does that typically work?
So in some company, if you have like 20 vendors, for instance, and you have just one person doing assessment, vendor risk assessment, you might be the only one, right? If they hire more vendor risk analysts, that means you go to split it, right?
Okay.
Right? So yeah, that means some vendors, you might not be assessing it, somebody might be assessing it. For me, what I normally do as a team lead, if we onboard new analysts come in, I try to give them those assessment that has been done before. The reason why I give them is because they just coming in from new environment. Like John is coming in from financial, so I will let him have those vendors that have been assessed, so he can see how we do things. Because the most part, the first 6 months you are just copying and paste because it's not your environment, right? But you might go to a different environment, it's different. They might want to make something tough and just give you the first vendor for you to assess. So again, it depends on what your vendor risk management is doing.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Any question? Okay.
Okay, let's move to PCI DSS and CCPA. Do you want to do? Yeah.
So CCPA, look at it like this. So
You can match the GDPR and CCPA together, sir.
Yeah, look at this regulation, like you have HIPAA, right? HIPAA, you have to comply to HIPAA if you process patient information. It's just, the standard, right? So look at this CCPA and GDPR. If you process California resident data, what I mean by data, I mean PII, personally identifiable information. First name, last name, social security number, household information, all of that, right? You will comply to CCPA. The same way, if you're processing European resident data, first name, last name, IP address, all of those, even just you're targeting them with cookies, you will comply to GDPR. However, for you to comply, you have to put yourself not in the vendor's shoe. You put yourself in the customer's shoe. What would you like a company to do with your data? You want them to protect that data, right? Those are your rights. You want to make sure your data is not shared out. You want to make sure they give you the right to opt out if you don't want them to process your data. All of those things, think of this privacy like those things you want somebody to do with your data. Once you think of it like that, the privacy, CCPA, GDPR, and HIPAA, it will be easy for you to speak to during interview. Any question on that? Any question? Like I don't want to go to Walmart and give them my physical address, my name, and they just leave it on the counter, right? I wanted to protect it. That's privacy, right? If I want my data transferred from West Fargo Bank to Bank of America, I want them to do it. They should not restrict me. That's my right. That is privacy, right? I don't want them to monitor me. Sometimes I go to Facebook, I'm looking for a shoe to buy. And when I click Walmart.com, they're showing me the same shoe. They are targeting me. That's cookie management. I don't want them to do that. I want to opt out of those privacy. So that's all these things put together is privacy. Any question regarding those? Any question? All right, I think no question, but how long you have more slide or you good now?
Sorry, I was on mute.
Okay,
so
how long is this class of this program?
Okay, we're supposed to have 1 more week for the interview prep. The last class is meant to be to show them automate those questionnaires in ServiceNow GRC. That's going to be the last class, like automate all the things I did manually, the SIG, everything. They will see it on the GRC tool. But the way I'm looking at it, I want you to come on Saturday morning, but it's going to be 8 o'clock for you. I hope you don't mind.
I do mind, I have family, but I want everyone to look at it like this. It is real. There's good pay. There's really good pay in this area. some of the challenges I had when I was actually going into this. One of the challenges was because I have an accent, I wasn't able to communicate my ideas or my skill set. So if you are like me, I recommend you start practicing and recording yourself and listening to yourself. Okay. Any question?
Thank you for the information, sir.
Yeah. So before you start thinking, because everybody will jump up with thank you. So the thing is, the next class I'll just speak a little bit on ongoing monitoring. Is still the same. He actually mentioned that area, so don't be confused. We are not doing much on that. It's just basically if you have vendors, existing vendors, you have to do probably high risk vendor. You do it every 1 year, moderate maybe every 2 years, low every 3 years. Doing the same process from planning to due diligence and all that. So that's that part of ongoing monitoring. I might just show you some things, but that's fine. And what else? On Saturday, I'm going to show you if you're going for on-site assessment. I'll give you an example. I have things you go with if you're doing on-site assessment. I have a template here. I'll show you before because I want to make sure I round up this class on Saturday. If we can't, then it's going to be one more, which is going to fall on the same day by next week. If we can't, so that is it.
John, if I'm not able to make it because
yeah, I will handle it. I just want you to come if you want, and I'm going to get you. I'm very sure.
If I'm not able to make it, that's why I wanted to just give you guys a tip. Some of those challenges that I have, so that you start working on it. Like I just told you guys, if you are like me, start working on it because people they won't hear you. Okay, just like they didn't hear me. If you are like me, but if you're not like me, are you good? Because I have a very deep accent. This thing is, was really a roadblock for me. 2, start practicing your interview. Don't wait until you finish. Okay, spend some time. Go all these C questionnaire, ISO, they're all on the internet. Because the more you practice, the more you can come ask more relevant questions that will help you on the interview. Okay. And I was in a class where everybody is just saying the right thing. Just before the teacher asks question, they already say the answer. So I was just left far behind. Don't let people who can catch up really fast cut you behind. Always make sure your question is answered. Okay. In case I don't meet you guys again, good luck, everyone.
Well, stop record.
The recording
Before
has
you go,
stopped.
Mr. Joseph actually, I remember he actually helped me to get a job in his place one time like that. I met him online on LinkedIn. So make use of your LinkedIn very well. Very, very important.
Yes.
Make use of your LinkedIn very well. We are family now, as in he lives far away anyway, close to California, far away.
Yeah.
I won't mention the place, but he lives in a big place. So anyway, he used to come to Houston. I've been to the city before. He's very helpful, and he has helped a lot of people to get jobs. Helped a lot of people to get jobs. So and
John, we are all learning together. I'm also
yeah.
learning. It don't matter. You don't have to say all.
So and again, I will say this is here. I'll say this. The more you study, Mr. Joseph, I want you to tell them, please, that the security fundamental knowledge is very important. They should always read that textbook. Watch videos of security. Anything related to security.
Yes.
The book, the Security Plus, the SIS, there's ISO one now. Please, if it's one time in a day, if it's 30 minutes, the video from Professor Mensah I sent to you guys, watch those videos. Just keep watching. You might get lost, but don't worry, just keep watching. The more you watch, the more you study, the more you get. Because all those terminology Mr. Joseph was saying, I didn't say, if you notice that I wasn't talking about encryption, like purposely don't want to go deep into that area because you guys are looking at what was he saying, right? Because I want, assuming it was my previous class, I go through all those things for 1 week, for one class, before I start saying all these things. But because you guys are much, so I purposely say, okay, go and study this, learn this, and all that. I give room for those that are serious. This is a secret. And I know people that are serious. I give room for them. I create space for them. If I'm not serious, Mr. Joseph would not give me time. We used to be an IT auditor, previous, but don't let us talk about the story. Anyway, thank you, Mr. Joseph. I really appreciate your time, your efforts towards human race. Thank you so much. Any question before we call it a night or a day, either way? Any question? Oh, we're silent. Hope everything is fine.
No, we're not silent.
Thank you so much, Mr. Joseph, for your contribution.
All right, then.
You start creating group for yourself. Start talking to each other. Start connecting. It's really good pay here. Like good pay. Like this kind of money that will come to your account, you'll be smiling. No more quarrel. That's the kind of pay you get.
No more quarrel.
Nothing piss you up anymore just because the way the money comes in. But for you to do that, IT is a self-train. It's okay. I see people carry laptop, they wear nice shirt, wear long sleeve, wear iron. No, don't worry about those things. Spend some time. What is this access control like? What is it? Super user, what is it? You're actually not going to turn off a laptop. You're actually looking at the screen. It's just the documents, right? Just a real life experience. When I went to a class like this, everybody in that class got a job except me. Then they do another class again. I went to the second class. The people who went to the first class together, they are the one training people in the second class. Everybody got a job. I didn't get a job. What happened is I was going there and I was not learning. I was not really doing self-development. That means I don't go home because I was working. I have wife, I have children. So I'll just dump my book, go to work. Then I started to figure out, why is there all these people giving testimony in church, only me? Then I decided to turn things around. I started to study 5 hours a day. I did that for good 6 months. Okay. Once I did that for 6 months, I went to go write CISA. I passed CISA. The people training us haven't got CISA. I don't even know how to explain it because I put that much time. Okay, so what I'm trying to use this to explain to you is that the lesson learned, what I learned was I wasn't studying enough. So I don't want you to go through the same route. I want you to be spending some time. I agree you have wife and husband and children. Create 2 hours, 3 hours to start doing that now. Because whatever, all these things you get in here is the surface. It's the surface because there's a lot. So that when you start that job, you're not scared. You're not going to be calling John. Even John, I told him he won't call me. I said, if you got a job, you will not call me. If you call, because you need to study. So I recommend you guys just study. All this information here, they are online. C questionnaire, ISO certificate, SOC report, information security policy, encryption, all these things is online. I don't just use those resources, okay? If I don't meet you guys again, I wish you guys good luck, okay? If I don't have the time to come back here and join you guys, but I just wish you guys good luck. Study.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Joseph.
All right.
All right, bye. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank
Have a
you.
lovely night.